They say that the world needs a father. It's not an organization, but it's a movement. What's the difference?
I also want to know how a movement works.
What is the dream? Where are we going towards? Who does it want to reach?
Guys, this session will provide us with all answers to these questions.
Awesome.
Wow.
The World Needs a Father movement. What a joy to be part of this. God is blessing us right across the world. Now, what is this all about? The World Needs a Father movement is essentially a discipling movement starting at home. Let's bring heaven home. Let's teach our children how to not only enjoy heaven, but also bring heaven to others. Let heaven flow through our homes to the rest of society. So how does this happen? We train people, we train fathers on how to bring heaven home. We train them also to become trainers. So the idea is that after the training, they would transfer their knowledge to other people. Now, if they cannot be great teachers of sessions, at least they can be facilitators of discussions. So they could take this plug and play, and they could use this little video, and they could plug it in, and then there are questions, and then they discuss the questions. And this is how the movement is spread. The knowledge is spread right across the world. Very essential that this is a movement, which means that it is not top down, it is not centralized. So every home where someone is trained in the World Needs a Father becomes the head office of the world. From that point, that fountain of new founded knowledge, that fountain must go and feed the neighborhood and beyond. So the movement is an organic movement, just flowing from the new required knowledge that you have to other people. How do we do this? Now, firstly, once you have been trained, the very first thing to do is get someone to keep you accountable so that you can apply all the principles and the practical stuff of the training. It could be a one-for-one challenge, for instance, where someone calls you once a week for 15 minutes and asks you if you're applying this principle that you have learned in the movement. Or it could be in practicing communities. 4 or 5 fathers getting together, discussing what they do with their children, how they love their wives sacrificially and unconditionally, etc. And we call it practicing communities. How can it spread out beyond that? Friends, that works like this. Every movement works like this. You start with a critical mass. So if I have 20 or 30 or 40 fathers divided in 5 or 6 practicing communities, and they become the role models that will show the other fathers how to have heaven at home. And then they start to talk about this, on how this changed their home, how it changed the relationship with their wives, with their kids, etc. And that makes other people just jealous to have that heaven at home themselves. And then they are attracted to that, and this is where you have them discuss it, or where you teach them on how to do this back home and how to spread the movement broadly. Very essential in the World Needs a Father movement is that you do not only think of your own children. In the South African context, we have 67% of all children growing up without the biological father. Now, who's going to father those children? We need substitute fathers, surrogate fathers, you can call them. It could be soccer coaches, it could be youth pastors, it could be anyone, it could be a neighborhood father that would just spread the news to other people, getting young boys under their wings, fathering young boys. And that is absolutely essential, that you think beyond yourself to the other homes in the neighborhood and provide your understanding of fathering to them, obviously, with the permission of your wife, because of their discussion with the single mother households that are there in society. We want this movement to spread right across the world. We believe that every home should have a trained father, or a male figure then at least, a trained father understanding how God the Father wants to express himself in a household. First. Then secondly, we want every church to have this as the discipleship 101. Why? Because in discipleship, 90% of all questions are related to household situations, relationship with wife, with kids, what we do, with conflict, communication, etc., etc. And therefore, if you are trained in this, you will know how to disciple people for what they have to do in those important hours at home. This is discipleship 101. But this is also absolutely essential for every parent taking the child to a school. You are the primary educator, all the teachers would tell you. Why are the primary educators not trained? How can you outsource education just to a school context and you do not take up your responsibility for it? It needs to go to all parents sending their children to school. It needs to go to all companies. Why to all companies? Because the human resource department deals with the personal, emotional issues that the employees have. And that is always related to what is happening at home. So how can we get a sound, healthy company if we do not train people how to be at home? This simply needs to go everywhere. Why? The world needs a father. All spheres of society need fathers. And therefore, we have to spread this movement wildly across this world so that everyone will know and everyone will testify about the fact that God has moved in. Heaven is at home and everywhere that we go. Multiplication is essential. Therefore, if you get this training, you simply cannot keep quiet. You have to spread this best of all news. And that is, you can have heaven at home. Let's teach you on how to have heaven at home. Please, if you've been through this training, don't stop the very next day. Even if you share one principle, I have learned to bring heaven at home in this way, and you just share one principle, that will ignite a small little fire that will go across the world. And ultimately, Father God will smile and say, great, let the fathers come back to the children, and the children to the fathers, and I will bless your land.